स्वादन ललुपशं प्रतीक्षण स्वादन ललुपशं वन्दे तुलसी चरणारविन्दं वन्दे तुलसी चरणारविन्दं वन्दे तुलसी संसारदावानन्दलोक प्राणाय कारुण्य घनाघनत्यं प्राप्त सकलन गुणान्नवश वन्दे गुरलक्ष्मी चरणरविन्दं निकुञ्जजूनरतिकेली सिद्धयै निकुञ्जजूनरतिकेली सिद्धयै जाजालिभिर्युक्तिरपेक्षणीया निकुञ्जजूनरतिकेली सिद्धयै जाजालिभिर्युक्तिरपेक्षणीया तत्रातिदाक्षादतिवल्लभशं वन्दे तुलसी चरणरविन्दं वन्दे तुलसी चरणरविन्दं वन्दे तुलसी चरणरविन्दं वन्दे तुलसी चरणरविन्दं संसारनामानललिलोक प्राणाय कारुण्य घनाघनतं भक्तकल्लन गुणान्नवश वन्दे तुलसी चरणरविन्दं वन्दे तुलसी चरणरविन्दं वन्दे तुलसी चरणरविन्दं साक्षादरितेन समस्तशास्त्रैः युक्तस्तथा भावत एव सद्भिः साक्षादरितेन समस्तशास्त्रैः युक्तस्तथा भावत एव सद्भिः किन्तु प्रभुः प्रिय एव तस्य वन्दे तुलसी चरणरविन्दं किन्तु प्रभुः प्रिय एव तस्य वन्दे तुलसी चरणरविन्दं संसारधामानललिलोक प्राणाय कारुण्य घनाघनत्यं सकलन गुणार्णवश वन्दे तुलसी चरणरविन्दं यस्य प्रसादात् भगवत्प्रसाद यस्य प्रसादात् न गति कुतोऽपि यस्य प्रसादात् भगवत्प्रसाद यस्य प्रसादात् न गति कुतोऽपि गायं स्तुवं तस्य यशस्वी सन्धं गायं स्तुवं तस्य यशस्वी सन्धं वन्दे तुलसी चरणरविन्दं वन्दे तुलसी चरणरविन्दं वन्दे तुलसी चरणरविन्दं वन्दे तुलसी चरणरविन्दं Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, and welcome to the Saturday morning Bhagavad-gītā As It Is class and discussion, reading, discussion, and a sadhana program that we've created for everyone, yes, every Wednesday now on the evening time here in Hamilton, 8 p.m., so it would be 5 p.m. in Twain Harte, and around the world, wherever you are, according to your time zone, you can be connected with us Saturday morning with Bhagavad-gītā As It Is. And by the way, we read from the unedited, unchanged books of Srila Prabhupada, which was an instruction of his to all of us to do not change anything. And Prabhupada said that the Americans, they have what's called the change disease. They want to change everything. Just think when they bought the building in New York City, they had bought a skyscraper building. It was, can you imagine that Prabhupada evolved this movement from living in the Bowery to a skyscraper building. And guess what happened? They sold it. They sold it against his instructions. This is common for most disciples that have been involved with this mission that he established. They change everything. It's called the change disease. And it's an unfortunate thing. And it's a reflection of neophyte behavior. And we can see in the society that we're a part of that many people start something. Yeah, a lot of people try to do something, but they can't finish. No, they can't finish. We call them talkers. You have to be able to complete your job, whatever it is. Show good example. Prabhupada set the perfect example, by the way. If you look at his life. I'm reading, we're working on the complete guide to spiritual self-realization. And I'm looking at the bio of Prabhupada. I've been checking out a bunch. I wrote one myself some time ago, about a year ago. So I went back to that. It's getting a better understanding of what to say when it comes to how to describe who Prabhupada is and what he does or what he did, and how to understand properly, philosophically, his position, because that's the most important thing. Whatever the Acharya speaks, whatever he says, is scripture. It's not just words. And the neophyte, he does not understand that. We're doing this review, and it's interesting. I gave it this title. I don't want to take credit, but I gave the title. The unofficial, the unauthorized, that's what it is, the unauthorized biography of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, also known as the Leelamrita. Why couldn't he explain properly who Prabhupada was? Why is it there has to be a complete review of everything he did? This fellow from Gita Nagari, who's not very mentally stable these days, not only mentally, physically, his karma is so devastating that he's become completely dependent on everybody else to wake him up and clean him and move him around in a wheelchair and feed him like a baby. Why is it? because he created a document that was not authorized and misinterpreted the whole thing. And when we read it, this part of our program now, Yasoda is going to these sections of a book we're going to be releasing to show how mundane he saw everything and how he wrote it and how he's misled everybody through this corruption. Why? Dharma Bhavana, why did he do it? To prove that he was some kind of guru. That's what. And a lot of people are like that. There's an interesting situation that came up recently where one of our godbrothers, Krishna Consciousness, he wrote about Rameshwar in LA. Now, he has direct information about the history of Rameshwar and how Rameshwar was initiating people on behalf of Srila Prabhupada when he first started. Yeah. And then Tamal Krishna went there and told him, if you do that, we will kick you out of the GBC. It's documented. And as a result, he acquiesced to Tamal's demand, even though later Tamal had revealed that this was a fraud. He personally had revealed it. Hansaduta revealed it. And lots of people have revealed it's a fraud, but still they perpetrate it. It's a total misinformation campaign. And Krishna Consciousness was chastised for telling the truth. I'm not going to go into the details, but this is what's going on. When you tell the truth and people don't like it because it's not in their agenda, their personal agenda, they fault find you. Yes, they do. Not only do they fault find you, they criticize you. They do. And they try to defame you. And this is going on. This goes on in everything. It's not just with our group. It's with every group where there's always conflict. That's the nature of the materialistic mind, to be in conflict. And we see it in politics, eh, Michael? It's just, up here in Canada, we've got these woke liberals, we got these conservatives, and some guy was talking to me, oh, I'm so proud to be a Canadian. I told him to his face, I said, buddy, you're not a Canadian. He, well, what do you mean? I said, well, that's a designation that you're not a Canadian, you're not American, you're not Italian. You're a spirit soul, part and parcel of God. Oh, well, I didn't realize that. No kidding, you don't. That's your problem. You're so spaced out, you have no idea why you were born. What is the purpose of life? Nothing. This is the modern world we're dealing with. And this is a situation where we'll be in conflict with people, and there is a lot of conflict. There is. I've been sending some videos to Yasodā-nandana Prabhu last night. I got on, some guy sends me a request, Michael, on Facebook. Like, I have 30,000 people in my Facebook group, 30,000. So, but I still look at these people that send. What I'm doing these days, I'm deleting a lot of people. I just constantly delete. I think the algorithm likes it when they see you reject people, because then they send you new people and it goes on. But I looked at this guy's Facebook page, see what he was about, and then he led me into this whole series of kirtans I'm looking at. All these kirtans, these people all performing on stage like some kind of rock and roll stars. Yeah. Beautiful manicured goatees. Oh, your goatee looks so good. Oh, manicured and long hair. Oh, yeah. And good instruments. Very good. I love hearing the mridanga play. Prabhupada was an expert mridanga player. They're playing really good Madanga, and the cartels, there's a beautiful syncopation with the cartels, and it appeals to me. But I'm looking, and there is absolutely dry chanting. It's dry because it's not authorized. It's not. Unless you have a bona fide spiritual master that you follow and you carry out his instructions the way he wanted it to, it's bogus. The whole thing is bogus. And some people would say, well, how can you say that, Vishwa? They're all chanting. Well, yeah, like there are lots of different groups, they chant, but is it bona fide? When Prabhupada was in, I remember that, Yasoda, I was in Vrindavan in 76. And back then, there was all this chanting, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Radhe Krishna, Radhe Shyam. They were chanting all kinds of mantras. Prabhupada did not like that. He didn't. There's a specific system that should be followed, not just start chanting like you're some rock star musician. And that's what's happened. It's become popularized for business purposes, whether it's for music or guruship. It's business, guru business. I can make money selling my records. It's interesting, there's one devotee going around and preaching in the ISKCON temples. Yeah. They're totally against the ISKCON system, the bogus guru system, but they compromise so they can sell their books. That's what they do. And they go there and they try to make friends with everybody, and this appeal to try to draw people in to hearing about Prabhupada's pastimes. And at the same time, the gurus that run these centers, they're initiating the people to be their disciples. So such a confusing atmosphere, eh? Everyone. Very, very confusing. So contaminated and so unfortunate. And, you know, we're going to carry on with our work. We're not going to hesitate to call people out on the carpet. It used to be called, do you remember this Dharma-bhavana? This term, the sauce? You remember that? You're going to get the sauce. I used to dish the sauce out. I had to. Everybody would, so many crazy people would come and join the temple. And you have to tell them, hey, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. There are rules and regulations for any kind of group. You have to follow the rules. One of my friends, well, sort of a friend, he's in Florida. He distributes books there. He's from Canada originally. And he says to me, well, I heard about you. Now, I haven't talked to the guy in 50 years, right? And then he writes me a note the other day. Well, I heard about the way you are. I go, a guy I joined the movement with told him I was some kind of heavy guy. I said, well, what did he tell you I was? He goes, well, I heard you're really heavy. What, because they tell the truth? You don't like it? Is that the problem? You get the sauce and then you get mad? Hey, don't tell me that. This is what's going on. People don't want to be told anything, even if it's done out of love and compassion and care. We care. We care about people. We care about their opportunity to go back to Godhead. We care about the process of devotional service as taught by a guru. But other people don't care because they're personally motivated. And this is the problem. This Vani Vapu principle has to be thoroughly understood, because the Vani principle means that Prabhupada is living with you. It's not just a point of argument. It's a point of reality, spiritual transcendental reality. And you have to understand that this is the only way you can practice Krishna consciousness. There is no other way. Now, someone would say to me, I put my number up on the chats and I put it up online. And I tell people, call me up. Tell me you're going to convince me otherwise, or let's talk about it. Nobody calls up because all I'm going to tell them is Prabhupada is living and sound. Do you accept that? And the answer is no, they don't, because they're personally motivated. And this is unfortunate. And that's all I'm going to say. Okay? Because I could go. Let's go to the diaries today. We're reading, and I was reading the passage, and just watch how the Prabhupada's disciples are so trivial when they're around Prabhupada. As we read it, they're trying to show. Now, this was in 1976. A room conversation with His Divine Grace in Vrindavan on September 4th, 1976. Prabhupada, so we shall follow strictly. Here is God. Take, because if you are serious after God, here is God, take Krishna. This is our philosophy. What is the answer? If he's serious about God, I think this paper wrote that, the village. We thought God is dead. Sorry, Greenwich Village? Prabhupada East Village, that paper long ago. Oh, so you didn't even know sorry, you didn't know nothing. But you're a big shot. Ridiculous. They never even wrote about when we bought the Toronto Temple, the biggest temple in North America. Sats Roop left it out. Hari Sori left it out. They all left it out because they are out of it. Harikesh, Village Voice, the Village Voice. Oh yeah, thank you very much, Harikesh, Mr. Genius. Ah yes, they've told first that we thought God is dead, and actually they were dancing in the name of God, Achyutananda and Brahmananda. You've seen the picture showing? Hari Sori, in the French Back to Godhead, Harikesh, oh, that's Achyutananda too. Oh. Prabhupada, they were the first candidates to dance with my kirtan. Harikesh, I did not know. Oh, I didn't know that was Achyutananda. I recognize Harigriva, but. And then Hari Sori goes, that's not Harigriva, it's Brahmananda. So Harikesh became a guru. He fell down with his massage therapist. And back then he's pretending he's some kind of smart guy. Harikesh, it's not Harigriva. No, Harigriva. Hari Sori, it's a picture of Brahmananda and Achyutananda dancing. And Prabhupada's playing on a tabla. And Kirtananda sat down in the corner. I don't think he was playing on a tabla. He didn't even know what that was. Boy, he was skinny in those days, this Brahmananda. And this is Kirtananda sitting down. Prabhupada, just Brahmananda, Kirtananda standing together. Hari Sori, Achyutananda, Prabhupada, oh, Achyutananda. Harikesh, Achyutananda, and Kirtananda sitting down. Prabhupada, Kirtananda's sitting there. Hari Sori, yes, he sat next to you. He shaved up. Harikesh, they're so skinny. Oh, wow. So familiar, Harikesh. Like, what's wrong with you? What was wrong with you to talk with such a whimsical way in front of your guru? Prabhupada, this was published in the New York Times. Contempt, that's what it is. Rochisha Devidas. Familiarity breeds contempt. They were filled with contempt to Prabhupada. Tamal swore, oh, Prabhupada's this and that. I can't even say the words. Prabhupada, this was published in the New York Times. Harikesh, New York Times? Yeah. With picture, Prabhupada says. The other picture was published in the Village Voice. Voice, yes, big picture, 1 page. They felt something otherwise, why they should publish, appealing to them that here is God, Hare Krishna. This is really a historic picture. Yeah. Oh, yeah, thank you. At least you realize that. But what happened to you, Hare Krishna? It's not who starts the race, it's who finishes. Underneath a tree, I was sitting and speaking, that's all. And when I would come back from the park to my apartment, at least 24 people will come with me. Hari, sorry, like a Pied Piper? Look at Prabhupada's comment. Huh? Yeah. What are you talking about? The Pied Piper. Hari, so there's a story in the West about a man called the Pied Piper. Oh, okay, thank you. We went to one place and played the flute, and then the children followed him from the village. You're like the Pied Piper who went to the West and took to all the children. Prabhupada, if you know French language, you can read it. Harikesh, he knows French. You know what is written there. Harisori, Prabhupada ignores what Harisori said. This article is by Hayagriva, and the heading, it says, "Are you from India?" That is when he met you on the street. Prabhupada, yes, he first of all met me on the street and asked me this question, and I brought him, yes, I've taken one apartment here, you come with me, and then I came back to show him the apartment, and from the next day, they began to come, Kirtananda and Hayagriva, and by the way, they were both homosexual lovers. Just so you know. Let the truth be known. Prabhupada didn't discriminate. He was looking for people to take up the mission. They could change. Harisori, Second Avenue apartment. Prabhupada, yes. And this Umapati, then Satsrup, they began to come regularly. Harikesh, Mukunda, you were already, Prabhupada, yes, Mukunda was before that. Harisori, when was this then? When Achyutananda and Brahmananda? This was after? Prabhupada, this is in the park, Tompkins Square, Harisori. That was after Harigriva? No, simultaneous. This and all the fall of 1966, October maybe. Yes, Prabhupada says, I was going in the park on Sunday and began from 3. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. That dun doobie. What is that in the hand? Hare Krishna, tom tom. Tom tom, yes. See, he goes tabla. It wasn't. Prabhupada, yes. Surabha. He's explaining why you came to America, and then that in 3 years you spread the mantra all over the Western world. Harikesh, Yogeshwar has many pictures of this. I saw all of them once. And Prabhupada concludes this. Yes, he is a good collector. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Very interesting, eh, Rachisha? Just see these big devotees. Big devotee means humble servant. That's what a big devotee is. And a big devotee is someone who carries out the mission of his spiritual master throughout his whole life. And that is our business. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. We'll move forward with the chanting of the bhajan, Jaya Radha Madhava, and then we'll have the reading and discussion from the Bhagavad-gītā As It Is, unchanged, with Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu in Twainhard, California. Haribol.
Sai. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivas Adi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Sri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Girivardhan ki jai, Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Navadvip Dham ki jai, Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Ganga Mai ki jai, Jamuna Mai ki jai, Tulasi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you from Srimad Bhagavatam 1:1:1. Narayanam namaskritya Narayanam namaskritya Naram cheva narottamam Naram cheva narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Tato Jayam Mudirayet. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam, after offering obeisances, 1. To the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2. To the Nara-Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3. To the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4. To Srila Vyasadeva, the author, from Srimad Bhagavatam 1-4. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Srimad Bhagavad-gītā. As we do every week, we will read a few selected verses which were only chosen by Srila Prabhupada himself when he started his lecture series in New York, USA, in early 1966. We invite you to join with us. Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Svapadantikam. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet? Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagonara Gunatanbitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Bitamscha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master and unto the feet of all Vaishnavas. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami, along with his elder brother Sanatan Goswami, as well as Raghunath Das and Raghunath Bhatta, Gopala Bhatta, and Srila Jiva Goswami. I offer my respectful obeisances to Lord Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, along with Advaita-Ācārya, Gadadhar, Srivas, and other associates. I offer my respectful obeisances to Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna, along with their associates Sri Lalita and Vishaka. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Oh, my dear Krishna, you are the friend of the distressed and the source of creation. You are the master of the gopis and the lover of Radharani. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Saptakanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. I offer my respects to Radharani, whose bodily complexion is like molten gold, and who is the queen of Vrindavana. You are the daughter of King Vrishabhanu, and you are very dear to Lord Krishna. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanibhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaham. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and were full of compassion for the fallen souls. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. We will proceed with our chosen verse for today. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavad-gītā, the original 1972, non-interpolated, non-adulterated, original 1972 Macmillan edition. We are reading from chapter 13, continuing on verses text 8 to 12. I'll quickly read the Sanskrit. It should be noted that all translations, synonyms, and purports are from His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, Founder-Ācārya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. We are reading from the purport on page 631. Simplicity means that without diplomacy, one should be so straightforward that he can disclose the real truth even to an enemy. As for acceptance of the spiritual master, that is essential, because without the instruction of a bona fide spiritual master, one cannot make progress in the spiritual science. One should approach the spiritual master with all humility and offer him services so that he will be pleased to bestow his blessings upon the disciple. Because a bona fide spiritual master is a representative of Krishna, if he bestows any blessings upon his disciple, that will make the disciple immediately advance without the disciples following the regulated principles. Or the regulated principles will be easier for one who has served the spiritual master without reservation. Cleanliness is essential for making advancements in spiritual life. There are two kinds of cleanliness, external and internal. External cleanliness means taking a bath, but for internal cleanliness, one has to think of Krishna always and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This process cleanses the accumulated dust of past karma from the mind. Steadiness means that one should be very determined to make progress in spiritual life. Without such determination, one cannot make tangible progress. And self-control means that one should not accept anything which is detrimental to the path of spiritual progress. One should become accustomed to this and reject anything which is against the path of spiritual progress. This is real renunciation. The senses are so strong that they are always anxious to have sense gratification. One should not cater to these demands which are not necessary. The senses should only be gratified to keep the body fit so that one can discharge his duty in advancing in spiritual life. The most important and uncontrollable sense is the tongue. If one can control the tongue, then there's every possibility of controlling the other senses. The function of the tongue is to taste and to vibrate. Therefore, by systematic regulation, the tongue should always be engaged in tasting the remnants of foodstuffs offered to Krishna and chanting Hare Krishna. As far as the eyes are concerned, they should not be allowed to see anything but the beautiful form of Krishna. That will control the eyes. Similarly, the ears should be engaged in hearing about Krishna and the nose in smelling the flowers offered to Krishna. This is the process of devotional service. And it is understood here that Bhagavad-gītā is simply expounding the science of devotional service. Devotional service is the main and sole objective. Unintelligent commentators on the Gita try to divert the mind of the reader to other subjects. But there is no other subject in Bhagavad-gītā but devotional service. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prasantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Bhagavad-vandanam khadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadate Visheshatah Adadana Srinam Danteridam Vyache Punaha Punaha Srimadrupa Padam Bhoja Dhulisyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavatosmyaham Sadadaso asmi sarvata tat kripa pikshako nityam tat prishta sad karomisvam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This particular purport in Bhagavad-gītā is very important because we see that Lord Krishna is very nicely presenting a very concise analysis of all the most important point in spiritual life. We saw in text number 8, Krishna described Acharyo Pasanam Socham. One is to accept approaching a bona fide spiritual master. I know this is a very controversial point for some people who suffer from lack of proper discrimination and suffer from poor fund of knowledge. You yet have to differentiate whether you approach a spiritual master because he's physically living or whether he's going to deliver you knowledge, transcendental knowledge, factual knowledge. This is a very important point. Some people never figured it out, even if they studied this purport for 50 years or 50 million years. How many times did Prabhupada have to tell us that Vani, or hearing the instructions of the spiritual master, is more important than Vampu? But he can't get it. They can't comprehend. Why? And we see this as we read the purport. If you read on page 631, simplicity means that without diplomacy, one should be so straightforward that he can disclose the real truth even to an enemy. As for acceptance of the spiritual master, that is essential, because without the instruction of a bona fide spiritual master, one cannot progress in the spiritual science. One should approach the spiritual master with all humility and offer him all services so that he will be pleased to bestow his blessings upon the disciple. So the question that Vishwakarma and myself have for those members of the Vapuvad philosophy, so those disciples who never spent physical time with Prabhupada, were they properly initiated? Did they get the blessings of Prabhupada? Or were the blessings of Prabhupada only for those who had so much personal, direct physical association with him? And what is the blessing? Do they understand the philosophy? When Prabhupada said the spiritual master is always present to his instruction, do they really accept this? When Prabhupada says what we have heard from the spiritual master, that is living, do they accept this? 13th of January, 1969, Srimad Bhagavatam lecture, Los Angeles, California, USA. Okay, what is this here? Okay, this is from a lecture. Okay, go down, further down. This is a lecture from Srila Prabhupada in wherever that was, on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 1, Text number 5. Just like Ajamil, he was a very sinful man in his life, but at the time of death, he called for his son, whose name was Narayana. So as soon as he called his son Narayana, immediately he remembered the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he was liberated. Even from his sinful life, there are many examples. And Bhagavad-gītā also confirms we have to accept this Vedic literature, otherwise we cannot make progress. Our process, this Krishna Consciousness movement, our process is to accept the Vedic version. Therefore, we are presenting Bhagavad-gītā as it is. We don't make any adulteration or alteration or addition. Now, let's repeat that here. This is very important for the Vapuvadis. We don't make any adulteration or alteration or addition. Now, you don't have to be a PhD in English grammar to understand this. It's simple. No, we accept as it is. That is our process. And if you accept, then our time is saved and we can make progress very quickly. So that we should do. That is our system. Acharya Upasanam. We receive the knowledge throughout the disciplic succession of acharyas, and we accept it and we follow it, and practically you see the result. That is our request. Ante Narayana Smriti. Bhagavad-gītā also confirmed this version. Yam yam vapi smaram bhavati tyajati ante kalivaram. At the end of life, kalivaram means this body. Within this body, there is another problem. This is another problem. So Prabhupada is repeating constantly to accept the instruction of the spiritual master. I don't know if all of you know this, but some disciples of Srila Prabhupada were accepted by Srila Prabhupada. They never met him. They never saw him physically. Now, did these people get the blessings of Prabhupada? Did these people really get the association of Prabhupada, of a bona fide Acharya? Did these people really follow the tradition of accepting a spiritual master? Did Srila Prabhupada follow the tradition that he had heard from his guru? This whole concept that disciples are going to start to challenge the Acharya, whether he was following the tradition, is totally outlandish, offensive, and ridiculous. Everything that Prabhupada did was establish the tradition for the next 9,500 years. But on account of personal motivation, the enemies, remember that famous letter from Srila Prabhupada in 1970, as soon as there is personal motivation, it is not possible to understand our Krishna conscious philosophy. Why is it so difficult for one group of devotees to understand these points? When Prabhupada said he lives forever by his divine instructions and the follower lives with him, what's complicated about understanding this? Now, I will admit, I was raised in Canada, in the eastern province in Quebec, where we were born speaking French. Now, my pronunciation of English is defective, as many of you can pick up. And it's often pointed out. I was talking to a neighbor yesterday, a nurse, telling her about, not eating meat and living simply and high thinking. And she asked me, where are you from? You seem to have an accent. Yes, I have an accent. That is due to conditioning from past karma. But to understand these simple instructions of Srila Prabhupada, it is not very difficult. Not very difficult. Now, another point I want to address is on page 631, Srila Prabhupada is making a very important point about cleanliness. Now, cleanliness is not just taking a bath with water and soap and everything. Incidentally, let me just repeat that little story that we heard from Srila Prabhupada in 1973 when we met him in Los Angeles, Guru Kripa Swami and myself, when he asked, well, what do you do in the morning? And we told Prabhupada, well, we get up 3:30, 3:45, we take a cold bath, and we have Prit Tilak and Mangalartik and Nrishinga prayers and Japa and Bhagavatam class, all of these things. Prabhupada says, oh, I used to take cold bath, even in the winter at Radha Damodar temple. And we'd like, whoa, that is a very serious cold bath. For those of you who have been in India, even in Vrindavan, it doesn't snow in the winter, but it gets very close to the freezing point. And the buildings are not constructed like in America. So this is a very important point. It's very cold. Prabhupada said, yes, if you take bath during Brahma Muhurta with cold water, you will prolong your life. I said, oh, interesting. But another point that Prabhupada makes it here, Prabhupada says, for internal cleanliness, one has to think of Krishna always and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This process cleanses the accumulated dust of past karma from the mind. Now, some of you may have experience, so you can go on. Thank you, Michael Dillon. He's applauding. He's transcendental. Look at him, blissful. He's got Krishna right there. That picture of Krishna besides him there from the Krishna book is manifested straight from his heart. We had the opportunity to meet Michael at one of programs by Bhakta Ram Singh in Sacramento. Very blissful individual, very focused on Srila Prabhupada. So what I'm trying to say is that during Prabhupada's manifested presence, we had the opportunity of seeing how Prabhupada conducted marriage ceremonies, initiation ceremonies, temple opening ceremonies, Brahmin ceremonies, sannyas ceremonies. And many of you can check that right on YouTube. You put Hare Krishna initiation ceremonies or Prabhupada initiation ceremonies. And Prabhupada always began these ceremonies with that famous mantra, Om apavitra pavitrova sarvabhashtam gatopiva yasmaret pundarikaksham sabhya abhyantara suchihi. Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu. Prabhupada would explain that whatever condition you are, apavitra, pavitra, whether you're purified or unpurified, if you simply remember the personality of Godhead, Pundarikaksha, the lotus-eyed Lord Vishnu, immediately you become cleansed within and without. So this is very important instruction. Did you have a Neil Sharma Prabhu? Do you have the text there from the books so we can see Prabhupada's exact translation? He's looking it up. And this is a very important point.
I'll try to look it up, Prabhuji.
Okay. So the point is, why did Srila Prabhupada begin this? Always. And he instructed the devotees that simply by remembering Krishna or Lord Vishnu or Lord Narayana, immediately you become purified. But there are conditions. As one becomes initiated, we hear about different offenses, nam aparada, that one should avoid. And one of those offenses, oh, here we go. Srila Prabhupada, the meaning of this mantra, this is from a lecture in San Francisco on March 10th, 1968. The meaning of this mantra is apavitra pavitrova. Apavitra means unclean, and pavitra means clean. So anyone who may be unclean or clean, it doesn't matter. Apavitra pavitrova sarva avastam gatopi va. Sarva means all. Avasta means condition. In whatever condition what may be, either unclean or clean. Yaha, anyone who smaret, remembers, pundarikaksham. Pundarikaksham means Krishna. Krishna's another name is pundarikaksham. Yasmaret pundarikaksham sa. That person, bhakya, externally, abhyantaram, internally, suchihi, becomes at once purified. Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu. Pundarikaksham, Krishna or Vishnu. So this is the remembrance. Sri Vishnu Namaha, Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu. So this is a very important point. In order to understand the meaning of these literatures, we have to get ourselves cleaned up. Prabhupada explains also in that purport. This process cleansed the accumulated dust of past karma from the mind. Yes, just like in the Shikshastakam. Cheto darpana mardanam bhava mahadavagni nirvapanam. This chanting of the name of Krishna will cleanse the heart, cleanse the mind from all the accumulated karma and dust for millions of years. And this is the great benediction that Srila Prabhupada brought to the Western countries. The chanting, the message from the books. This is the knowledge given by the Acharya. This is the Divyam Jnanam given by the Acharya. Prabhupada is initiating people every day all over the world by his merciful transcendental books and by his merciful instructions. We could go on for 5 hours on this, but this is the Shikshastakam. I just want to point out in various conversations with a member of this group, Ram Singh, he often used to quote me a verse from the Chandogya Upanishad. Maybe he must have studied that in depth in his past life because he gave beautiful explanation. It is the same explanation given in this verse, Acharya Upasanam. Acharyavan Purusho Veda, that one who accepts the Acharya, the bona fide Acharya, the authorized Acharya, he will know everything. He will become purified and know everything. Very important point. Back to you in the studio. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much. You know, and I was listening to Prabhupada speak, Michael Dillon, in a lecture the other day, and I mentioned it to us that people were telling him, you've created all these miracles. And actually, we used to be called the dancing white elephants because somehow or other, when we went to India and Prabhupada started the Mayapur festivals, and we were there when the first building went up. If you recall, Yaśodā, there was just one building. I still remember us lying on the verandas and sleeping there with sleeping bags, very, very austere, and everybody got sick, actually. But we were there, young men, like soldiers, ready to accept all kinds of difficulty for the pleasure of the spiritual master, just like they enlist young men in army, thinking it's some kind of glamorous service for their country, and they go get killed. So youthfulness, this can be misused by people. And of course, this happens in the ISKCON group, where they get young people and enlist them into their guru business, and they build their bank accounts and their little ashrams where they have their 5-star luxury apartments made out of marble, and it's all paid from the money of their followers. But that's another subject. So Prabhupada, he said miracles. I know not miracles. There are many miracles. Yes, down through the ages, there have been many miracles. But he said, I personally, no miracle. If there's any miracle, all I did was not change the philosophy of my spiritual master. Not at all. And by doing that, he was able to convince people to take up Krishna consciousness because there's no change. That is the position that he took with his spiritual master, not to change anything. And I talked about it earlier, the change disease. That's what they do. People that are mental speculators who follow the path of mental concoction change things. Why? Because they don't listen. That happens. That you deal with people, a lot of times you try to explain something to them, they don't listen. You tell them the truth, they look at you like, are you kidding me? This is their lack of humility. And humility must be a part of the character, Michael, of a devotee. They have to be humble. They have to be prepared to listen. And they have to be prepared to follow the instructions of the spiritual master. It's simple. And somehow or other, people will not accept that Prabhupada is living in sound in his Vani incarnation. Why? I don't know. Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. I mean, this is a yoga process of transcendental sound. Everything's based on sound. Everything. For example, Prabhupada explained in this lecture, I was listening to him, Prabhupada spoke about it in the purport today. You simply chant Hare Krishna. And Krishna is there in the sound. Non-dual. It's just that hard to understand. And that's the first principle. What are you supposed to do? You're supposed to listen to the sound. So between the tongue and the ear, you capture the mind. You hear the sound. It's a transcendental science of spiritual practice. You have to practice to become perfect. You have to. It's not that automatically you're going to, at the time of death, you're just going to start chanting Hare Krishna. It won't happen. Oh, it might, as in the case of Jamil. I wrote a play about it. I want to get it produced eventually. I changed the words. I call it the salvation of Adam. I took it, adapted it from the Bhagavatam. But the idea is that if you can remember Krishna at the time of death, then this will be the greatest benefit that you can do for yourself. But is it automatic? No, it isn't. And I have direct experience of this. Most recently, when I was in Mexico, trying to help one of our godbrothers, but not to criticize him, but every time I told him, put down your phone, Paul, go Paul, and concentrate on the holy name. But he had to have his phone on all the time, and that's what people do nowadays. They read the phone all day. But people are addicted to that technology. Yeah, but real technology is to dovetail everything. This is Krishna technology. Dovetail everything in the service of Krishna. So you simply change the reason why you do things. You don't stop doing things. The spirit soul is always active. So instead of acting for sense gratification, you're acting to please Krishna. Yes. And in this way, you change the record, and in this way, you make advancement in spiritual life, because energy has to be expended, Michael. You have to do things. Doesn't matter who you are. Everybody is doing things all the time. In fact, think about it like this, Prabhus. You want to be successful in life. What do you have to do? Well, people tell you, oh, I work hard all day. Oh, you work hard all day. Gee, okay. And where does it get you? Well, you may make money, you may not make money. But one thing is, you're going to get older day by day, and eventually you're going to pass away. So if we don't change the focus from serving Maya to serving Krishna, you will fail in life. That's what you'll do. You'll be a failure, a colossal failure. So Prabhupada was talking about miracles. Oh, yeah, there's, I know not miracles, but the miracle was he did not change the teachings of Bhaktisiddhanta, and that's what the people of the Gaudiya Math did. They did. They took over the temples, and each person set up their own ashram, got their own disciples, and the whole thing became sectarian. And they gave up the mission of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. And Prabhupada was the only one that didn't change anything. And that's why he, with the Bhagavad-gītā, he called it the Bhagavad-gītā As It Is, without any change. And this is fundamentally the most important thing that all of us as disciples have to follow without any adulteration. No. That we are simply trying to work together with one common denominator. That's how you do fractions. You can't add 1/3 and 1/4. It doesn't work. Everybody has to be on the same page. And that's what we're doing. We're all on the same page. We read the same books. We do the Hare Krishna mantra 16 rounds a day. And Prabhupada talked about prasadam here in the purport. Very important, we've discussed that. How to offer your food properly. Don't offer it to some bogus guru. If people think that because a person takes that role, and then you get his picture and put it on the altar. Just like in San Diego, they have 30 pictures of 30 different gurus. And then the guy, whoever's got the day for the altar pujari work, he goes and gets his guru and he offers the food to his guru. Is it being accepted by Krishna? No. It's bogus. If you're a bogus guru, if you falsely misrepresent this philosophy for your own personal ambition, you're the greatest sinner there is. You're the greatest. And the laws of karma, it's very hard for us to understand what will be happening to them, but even in this lifetime, they'll be punished. And at the end of their life, there'll also be karma. So it's very serious. Do not change anything. And that is the difference between Vani and Vapu. Right? Everybody, just think about it. Well, we're going to go to this section with Yasoda, but people, they're writing about Prabhupada's behavior. So they write down, he did this and did that. But they're misrepresenting the information of what Prabhupada was actually doing. They start with that. Oh, Prabhupada was doing this and that. He wasn't. They're just making it up, Michael. They're making it up. And then they're misinterpreting it, and they're misleading people. And that is the greatest sin that you can do in this human form of life. And yet people carry on without any question. They're lost. They're lost. And there's so much Sahajiism nowadays, so much corruption, it's just sad. So we'll move forward with the reading from the unauthorized biography of Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace. And we'll let Yasoda, with his team, we're going to be publishing this in due course. Hopefully this year we'll do a series of works together as a group. We're going to hear from that right now from Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. I think we will continue with our reading and discussion of the Lilamrita Review. We are at Lilamrita Review, Volume 2, and we are on page number 9, and Srila Prabhupada is explaining the position of a pure devotee. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 3, Text 31. Vasudeva and Devaki, therefore being situated in completely pure devotional state, are beyond the material world and are not subject to material fear. In the transcendental world, however, because of pure devotion, there is a similar conception of fear, which is due to intense love. Next, we have a citation from Srila Prabhupada from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 3, Text 23. The word subhismita means astonish is significant in this verse. Devaki and her husband, Vasudeva, were assured that their child was the Supreme Personality of Godhead and could not be killed by Kamsa. But because of affection as they thought of Kamsa's previous activities, they were simultaneously afraid that Krishna would be killed. This is why the word subhismita has been used. Similarly, we're also astounded upon thinking of whether this movement will be killed by the Asuras, or we will continue to advance without fear. Again, this was from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 3, Text 23. There is a difference between emotional ecstasies and mundane anxieties. Emotional ecstasies are not produced by anything in this material world. The pure devotee is not affected by anything produced in this world. This is quite clearly defined in the Shastra. Generally, we cannot know what specific ecstasies are being experienced by the completely realized soul at a specific time. We can hear about them, sometimes from the pure devotee himself. We can also hear of the ecstasies of self-realized souls from authoritative revealed scriptures and appreciate the truly self-realized pure devotee of the Lord in terms of Shastra. Was Srila Prabhupada frustrated, baffled, and perplexed? We quote from Lilamrita, Book 1, page 135. The Lilamrita claimed that Srila Prabhupada became materially frustrated, baffled, and perplexed. Quote, but then the worst thing happened. The manuscript was stolen. Abai was baffled. So much work had been undone. He felt he had worked so many months for nothing. Then we have from Lilamrita, Book 1, page 276. But his attempts to arrange a meeting were unsuccessful. Frustrated at being put off by Mrs. Murari's officers, he sat down on the steps of her office building, determined to catch her attention as she left for the day. Lilamrita, Book 1, page 120. The two paths were at war. It was a predicament. Lilamrita, Book 2, page number 8. He had little idea of what to do as he walked off the ship onto the pier. I did not know whether to turn left or right. The definition, according to Webster's Dictionary of predicament, is a perplexing situation. The dictionary further defines baffled as to be defeated or checked by confusion. Frustrated is defined as to defeat in an endeavor to make invalid, to bring to nothing. Shastra rejects this claim and informs us that His divine grace could never have been baffled. As the bona fide spiritual master, he took all others who surrendered to him, due to their becoming baffled as to the right path of action, to the shelter of Krishna Consciousness, which is free from perplexity. And next time, tomorrow, we will continue a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 14, Text 1. Back to you in the studio. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Well, it's interesting to note, Prabhus, how they're interpreting Prabhupada's behavior according to their neophyte understanding. That is very important. And it's important to realize that unless you're advanced in spiritual life, you cannot understand the transcendental nature of the spiritual master, the Acharya, the representative of Lord Chaitanya. You can't do it. So everything is distorted. This is a total, again, demonstrates to everybody this misinformation, this campaign of misdirecting people in terms of understanding Vani Vapu. It's, when I read earlier about this interview or this dialogue with Prabhupada, you could see it. Our godbrothers were around Prabhupada, they were around him, but they had no idea who he was. Instead of keeping quiet, they had to talk stupid. It's much better to just not talk if you've got nothing good to say. Better just to be quiet and listen to the spiritual master. And try to be humble in his presence, not try to insert certain information when you don't know what you're talking about. And that's apparent. And that's what Yaśodā was saying, Neil Shama, that some people think, oh, I was around Prabhupada, I was so blessed by him, I'm so advanced. But literally they realized that familiarity breeds contempt. And that was obviously demonstrated by their behavior in these conversations. Yes. And that's unfortunate. And that particular type of mentality was part and parcel of these so-called leaders like Keith Ham and others. And this is something we're exposing today for all of us to see, because you don't think about it, everyone. You're here coming to the programs. Okay. But you're focused. Vijay Pandit, you're listening. You know, it was very difficult back in the day because we'd be working so hard. A lot of times, Dharma Vava, and if you remember, you go to class, you'd be falling asleep. You'd be so tired. You got up early. You'd be working all day. You go on Sankirtan. You come back. You're exhausted. And then you're trying to pay attention at class, depending on who was speaking and what was going on. But this is an advantage that we have. Some people say we're not preaching. We don't do any preaching. But that's not true. And the group of people that we have are very interested in what we're talking about, because it's relevant to them in 2025. Yes, it is. And we take you back in time. We give you all these examples. We read from the scripture. We repeat the message. It's not that we're repeating the same message that's in the Shastra, and everybody is getting a clear understanding without any confusion how to be a disciple of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. We're not Ritviks. We're not Prabhupada Anugas. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that name, but they're misunderstood. We're Prabhupada disciples at different stages in our evolution as disciples. And this is what we're trying to explain to everybody without any motive. Dharma Bhavana in Dallas, Texas, please, if you could share your realizations this morning. Haribo. Turn them on. Turn them on, Rupa.
Okay, Hare Krishna, thank you. Yeah, today's class was very interesting discussion. I was thinking how, like in America, probably everywhere in the world, all of us are very used or accustomed to some, politician or any kind of person, and whatever and they're coming on a new scene, and they're going to say, I'm going to make such and such a change. I'm going to improve this. I'm going to make such and such changes. So this idea of making changes is pretty prominent in society, especially for politicians and in almost any situation. And I was thinking how somebody may ask, what does Bhagavad-gītā say about making changes? And I was wanting to quote from Bhagavad-gītā chapter 9, text 1, the last paragraph. And I'll begin reading now. Chapter 9, text 1, the last paragraph. The Sanskrit word anasuyave.
What was the verse? What's the verse, Prabhu? Sorry. What's the verse?
The Supreme Lord said, my dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most secret wisdom, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence.
What's that number? What's the number? Okay, go ahead. They got it. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Sanskrit word anasuyave. Yeah, the very last paragraph.
Okay.
A few more paragraphs. Yeah, here it is. Yeah.
Go ahead.
The Sanskrit word anasuyave.
Okay.
And this verse is also very significant. Generally, the commentators, even if they are highly scholarly, are all envious of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even the most erudite scholars write on Bhagavad-gītā very inaccurately. Because they are envious of Krishna, their commentaries are useless. The commentaries given by the devotees of the Lord are bona fide. No one can explain Bhagavad-gītā or get perfect knowledge of Krishna if he is envious. One who criticizes the character of Krishna without knowing him is a fool. So such commentaries should be very carefully avoided. For one who understands that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the pure and transcendental personality, these chapters will be very beneficial. Just thought I'd mention that in regards to making changes to the Bhagavad-gītā by the different commentaries. They want to change Krishna's message. That's all. Thank you, Haribol.
This is very common. And, we're fortunate that we're enjoying the literature. And it is quite blissful. I've just read, Mother Ruchisha, I just read about the Putana witch in the Krishna book. Quite a engaging story about her, and how Prabhupada is stressing the fact, even if you do not serve with the right motive, you still get benefit. But if you have the right motive in your Krishna consciousness, you'll get the maximum benefit by doing everything you can to please the Lord, to please Lord Chaitanya, and to please Srila Prabhupada by giving people a proper understanding of how to follow the process of Krishna consciousness and get the maximum benefit. That's all we're doing. We want ourselves, each one of us, to get the maximum result from what we do. Everybody wants that. It's like, for example, in business. People don't go to business to make the least amount of money, do they? No. Most people, they go to try to get the most amount of money. That's their mundane purpose. So taking up Krishna consciousness, you want to get the most benefit from what you do. And the best way to do it is to follow the process according to the directions of the Acharya. That's all. And by doing that, you'll feel bliss by reading it. It's when you read the Krishna book. I have the original 72, Mother Yasmin. I was given to me as a present from a person who's not a devotee, but she's a friend, and she found it in the library, and she said, "Oh, here, I've got this book for you." And I've been meaning to read it for the last little while. I've been reading all the different books. And just as I get more into the Krishna book, the more enlightening the information is for us, especially how Prabhupada explains it in a transcendental method to enlighten us on the purpose of life without any question. So it's a wonderful experience. We have Neela Sharma here in California. Where is he? In Florida somewhere. There he is. Go ahead. Neela, go ahead.
Hare
Go
Krishna,
ahead, please.
Prabhuji.
Go ahead.
I would like to share something very critical over here, and
Okay.
maybe as a question also to Yasoda-nandana Prabhu, is that
Okay.
this is from Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, chapter 24, verse 345. The translation is, I have thus given a synopsis of the Vaishnava regulative principles. I have given this in brief just to give you a little direction. When you write on this subject, Krishna will help you spiritually awakening you. Purport. One cannot write on spiritual matters without being blessed by Krishna and the disciplic succession of gurus.
Uh-huh.
The blessings of the authorities are one's power of attorney. One should not try to write anything about Vaishnava behavior. This is very, very critical. One should not write anything about Vaishnava behavior and activities without being authorized by superior authorities. So when we talk about this Leela Amrita, we talk about the books which are printed by so many people in ISKCON today. You know, where do they get this authority from? This is confirmed in Bhagavad-gītā. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarso viduha. So when you write anything without the proper authority from the superior authorities, what is going to happen to it? Why do we constantly say, do not read these books? You many times Vishwakarma Prabhu display books which are written by these fake gurus. You know, what is the purpose of this? You know, as I mentioned also last time, is that in ISKCON Miami, there was this person who was initiated 3 times and she has written 4 books. Now, where is this? How much degraded is it going to become? I don't understand. And I would love to know what Yasoda-nandana Prabhu has to say about this point. And I'd like to make another one little point.
Please.
Is, you know, shortly in about a month or so, we're going to have a Sadhu Sangha retreat in Orlando. And if you're ready to cough out about $400 to $600, including accommodations, you can be a part of it. You know, I don't want to advertise that, but I just want to kind of show.
You can advertise it. It's all right. It's not a big deal. Go ahead.
No, we don't want to advertise. You know, let them do what they have to do.
Well,
everybody has a free will, but it is just more for our group as to what should be the consequences. So here in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 5, Text 11, Prabhupada talks about what is Kirtana. So here he says very clearly, so we are not training our students anyway about musical science, that we have to chant in this way or that way, or we have to dance in this way or that way. Without any musical knowledge, without any poetic understanding, even a child can take part in it and he becomes immediately absorbed in ecstasy. Why? This is because we are chanting the glories of the Lord. So it does not require any artificial musical knowledge or dancing knowledge. Now, if you look at this Sadhu Sangha, all these great musicians, you know, everybody's going what? For their sense gratification? Or are they going to glorify the Lord and the spiritual master? That's my question. Out of your own ecstasy, you will dance, you will chant. Whose ecstasy? Your own ecstasy. You don't require to study, just like our playing of mridanga. Nobody has gone to an expert mridanga player to learn it. Whatever I play, I sing. I never studied under some expert teacher. But by practice, chanting, it may be melodious, it may be very nice or not. That doesn't matter. We are not concerned about that, whether it is appealing to the people or not. It will appeal. There is no doubt about it. But we don't require to divert our attention on these things simply because there is glorification of the Lord. It will be palatable. Just like Parikshit Maharaj said, Bhavav Shraddhaj Shotra Mano Viramat Ka Uttama Shloka Gunanuvadat Vrijayate Vina Pashugnat. You see? So I'd like to know what Yasoda-nandana Prabhu has to say, especially about these 2 parts, talking about the literature without being blessed by the superior authorities and the Kirtan standards, which is established by Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Well, you're raising some very important points, especially this issue about Kirtan. Because what has happened, as Vishwakarma Prabhu pointed out, and you correctly pointed out, what has happened in our movement, it's become more of a musical performance. And we notice they're not doing this in front of the deities. It's some kind of kirtan hall with all kinds of, disharmonium. There was a letter Prabhupada wrote to Bahudak. He was the temple president in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. He says the harmonium is not for kirtan. It is for bhajan. So when you do kirtan, it should be done with mrigangas and kartal. But even without mrigangas and kartal, the point is to please the deity. We don't do kirtan for a show, like some musician, some karmi musician, or some show bottle. That's not the idea of kirtan. And what we have, unfortunately, is a perversion of the kirtan, where I don't know who they're trying to please, but it sure is not the deity, with all kinds of concocted tunes and show bottle. But we're not here to criticize anybody's effort to chant Hare Krishna. We're just explaining the standards that Prabhupada made. The second point, I'm referring devotees to the chat. I quoted here in the chat, let me see here. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 13, Text 14. Besides the point that nobody has ever been able to find a reference where Prabhupada told devotees to write a biography about himself. As a matter of fact, every time people ask him about his personal life or personal association, Prabhupada would say, read my books. Here it says, Prabhupada says, it is therefore said, Vaishnavara Kriya Mudra Vigye Nabhujaya. A highly advanced Vaishnava lives in such a way that no one can understand what is or what it was, nor should attempts be made to understand the past of a Vaishnava. And this is our objection to that, Lamrita. There's too much speculation and nonsensical interpretation of what Prabhupada was thinking, what he was feeling, whether he was like a derelict in the street or he was baffled and he was perplexed and he was... This is trying to explain Prabhupada in a mundane way, like he was a mundane person, like an ordinary human being. As a matter of fact, in the introduction to that book, they quoted a professor say, we invite the reader to read the very human story of Bhaktivedanta. That is not the Vaishnava understanding. We have all heard Guru Sho Naramati. If one thinks the spiritual master to be an ordinary man, Yasya Van Narakisa, you're a candidate for the hellish regions. So this is the problem with the speculation on the mind of the pure devotee. In the chat today, I quoted different quotations from Srila Prabhupada explaining that verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita, that's Leela, chapter 23, text 39. It said, therefore, Vaishnavara Kriya Mudra Vigneha Nabhujaya. Even if one is a very learned and intelligent scholar, he cannot understand the activities of a Vaishnava. And Prabhupada explains that verse in so many different ways. And one should be extremely careful in analyzing Prabhupada's statement, especially when it comes to statements about race, family, gender, marriage, homosexuality. There's a lot of people critical of Prabhupada because they've been indoctrinated and victimized by Western propaganda, by materialistic, atheistic Western propaganda. Or that you don't accept the normal acceptance of the regular society. Well, there's a lot of things in regular society that are accepted now that were not accepted 100 years or 200 years ago. We base our acceptance on the Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad-gītā. This is our standard. This is the standard that God himself, Krishna, has given. So as far as modern standards, which constantly change or everything, Prabhupada was speaking the truth. But because people have been conditioned by Western indoctrination, Western academic teachings and everything, it's like you cannot force somebody to understand Krishna consciousness. They have to be willing to understand. If they're too attached to their materialistic indoctrination and have been victimized by this propaganda, sometimes it's very difficult. They've not properly heard from the Acharya. That's why in the Ishopanishad it is described that one should hear from the self-realized dhira, iti shushruma dhiranam. one should hear from the Dhira, the self-realized Acharya, not some meathead, so-called educated person who has no understanding of spiritual life. And listening to these people will not help anybody understand Prabhupada's teachings. Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Prabhuji, I have one more question.
What?
Prabhuji, can I?
Well, we're almost at 11:40. Go ahead, please.
Go ahead.
I just
Go
want
ahead,
to share
quickly.
one thing.
Go ahead.
Prabhuji, over here, I am trying to talk about Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, chapter 15, 108. Prabhupada talks about this in very strong words. Unless one is initiated by a bona fide spiritual master, all his devotional activities are useless. A person who is not properly initiated can descend again into the animal species. He's quoting here the Hari Bhakti Vilas 2.10. So what happens to people who are chanting, who are going to this Sadhu Sangha retreat and chanting this Maha Mantra, Prabhuji?
What Sadhu Sangha retreat? Who's holding that? Who's holding it?
I will show you. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Let me share this with you. It is in a very elite, retreat in Orlando. Very expensive retreat. Here we go.
Okay. Whatever. Yeah, this goes on everywhere. That's okay.
Yeah, so this is, all the big names of ISKCON will be there.
Well, hold on. Big name, no. Someone's saying that, but they're not. Listen, I wanted to make a comment about music, just so you know. And I want you to understand this. Prabhupada was an expert musician. He was amazingly expert. In fact, this is one of the things that drew us, to Krishna consciousness, was when we heard Prabhupada play the mridanga. If you see the tapes, you should learn. There's ways to learn from Prabhupada directly. He has instructional tapes. We should have nice kirtan. It's when Prabhupada was recording in the early years, Nilesh, he would stop. He stopped the people who were trying to play because they were disturbing the kirtan. So what they did was they multi-tracked them. So he would do the cartel. Then they, in multi-tracking, he would play the mridanga, he would play the harmonium, and then he would sing. And it was perfect. So both things should be there. I mean, it's more important for people to sing sincerely. Yes, okay. But at the same time, we're expert. The whole thing is we're expert cooks. Are you an expert cook, Nilesh? I'm asking you. Are you an expert cook?
I get by.
Okay, but you don't cook things that people don't like, correct? You try to really do a good job. Yeah. Sure. So we try to dress properly. We try to cook nicely. We like to sing and chant and dance nicely. Like there's a beautiful way to dance. It's called the Swami step. Are you familiar with that? Have you ever heard that? How you move back and forth and like that? And it looks great. It looks beautiful. Actually, when I see devotees that are all dressed up in their devotional robes, they always look very attractive to me. It's just a natural thing. I look at them, I go, you look fantastic. So we have a culture of beauty. We have a culture of talent. Devotees are expert. We always strive for excellence, eh? It's what you're striving for is the difference. You're not doing it for any other reason to glorify Krishna and to try to demonstrate to others how expert devotees are. Ah, yes, we are not stupid men and women. Devotees are the most important people in this world. And there's only one shortage, the shortage of good devotees. And that's what we're promoting. We're not here to criticize people. We're here to promote the path of devotional service. So all of you start to become shining stars. Get it? shining stars in Krishna consciousness, not a bunch of incompetent idiots that are walking around and not showing any good example to anybody. The difference is we're doing it for Krishna and not for ourselves. That's all. So thank you very much, Nilesh. I know you love this philosophy. And this sadhu garbage, don't go to it. It's a waste of time. Total way. We're not going to any of it. We're busy. We've got 3 classes a week. You've got your rounds. You've got your businesses. You've got your duties. Concentrate on that. This other stuff, let it be. That sounds like the Beatles. Let it be. Any last comments, Yaśodā? You're smiling. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, very, very interesting discussions. Very interesting discussions. Well, one point I want to address is that they will say, that we're not following that instruction because we're not accepting them as authorized gurus.
Oh.
Well, this brings us back to the original question: what is an authorized guru? How did they become authorized? Because most of these people that think that became authorized by vote, by an election process. Now, if we start asking questions, whether Srila Prabhupada ever set up an election process for voting an Acharya, we don't find that. We don't find that. There's just no evidence from Prabhupada's teachings and Prabhupada's books that an Acharya, who's going to be worshipped as the sum total of all demigods, as Nikunjayuno, can be made by votes, by election. As a matter of fact, Prabhupada in his books teaches the other way. He presents things the other way. So it's important to be familiar or to become familiar with Prabhupada's teachings and instructions. This way, nobody is going to be misled or confused about propaganda, because propaganda is cheap. It's like Prabhupada said in a conversation with Shyama Sundar in that book, Dialectical Spiritualism, where they were talking about communism and Mao Zedong and the Russian communism. And Prabhupada says, well, you can make whatever propaganda you like, but if it's not based on truth, eventually it will fail. And this is the problem we see. Anybody can make any outstanding claims about anything, but it has to be based on truth. And what is the truth? As far as we are concerned, the truth is Srila Prabhupada's explanation of the Shastra, Bhagavad-gītā, Srimad Bhagavatam, like that, and his lectures and his conversational, everything has been given there. But a person has to be willing to hear, to submissively hear, then there will be some result. It's just like if somebody wants to become a lawyer, a dentist, an accountant, or an engineer, well, you have to go to school. You have to be willing to hear the message of the professor and take the classes, answer the examinations, and pass the final exam. And then you can become a doctor, lawyer, engineer, accountant, whatever professional discipline. But it's the hearing process is very important. And one cannot manufacture, if somebody takes an accounting class, you can't manufacture your own instruction manual. You have to take the instruction manual from authorized professors. Same thing in spiritual life. Prabhupada is the authorized professor as far as we are concerned. He was predicted by Lord Nityananda Prabhu, by Lord Chandas Thakur, by so many great acharyas. He established by his behavior, by his accomplishment, that he fulfilled the mission of Lord Chaitanya. Mm-hmm. We can practically see. Let me give a very brief story of a woman. When I was in Badger, California, she read Srila Prabhupada's books. And she called me up and says, I've accepted Prabhupada as my guru. And I said, well, how old are you? Where are you? And she told me the story. And then she said, I met an ISKCON devotee who told her, you can't have Prabhupada as your guru. He died in 1977. You know what she told him? You know what? You're too late. I've already accepted him. If you have that much faith, that much conviction, and that much intelligence, very good for you. Very good for you. Because she understood what is the real essence of accepting a bona fide acharya, by hearing and following. Very simple. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Yes. And, this is the exciting part of what we're doing here is we're saying to people, you are a Prabhupada disciple. And that is a great victory for a person. That's the positive statement. And devotee, a Prabhupada disciple, should be first class. That's it. In everything they do, they act with the integrity and the diplomacy that Srila Prabhupada demonstrated to all of us, that he was the perfect example. And we are all following in his footsteps. And we're taking each other's association to encourage us to take up this process and successfully go back home, back to Godhead at the time of our death, because death is approaching everyone every moment. And it's interesting to note, Yasmin, that people think they won't die. Yes? That's what they think. Oh, I won't die. But actually, and some people that I deal with, they think, oh, I will live for hundreds of years. Yaśodā said that there's some people in the mountains, they live for hundreds of years, so I'll live for hundreds of years too. It's just a matter of attitude. Well, I hope you do. I mean, we're not saying you don't. But generally, everybody lives for 100 years or around 100 years, or maybe less. And there are other things that could happen to you. You could be driving along the highway and you might get in an accident and be killed. It could happen. Someone could say, well, not me. Well, I look at the news all the time in Toronto. It's incredible. Basically, the news is this huge roster of people that were killed yesterday. And most of them aren't killed by guns. They're mostly killed by car accidents. That's what happens. Most people, and then you've got other things that happen to you. Your body could break down and you get disease and you get cancer and you have a heart attack and you have a blood clot and anything can happen. So always be prepared by following this process of devotional service every day without fail. And this will protect you from all difficult situations. Padam padam vipadam natesham. There's danger at every step. Yes. And those who are Krishna conscious see that. And then they act in such a way that they're always taking shelter of Krishna and they're always protected. And Prabhupada is with us. And enjoy the readings, Prabhus. Enjoy them. They're so wonderful. You just absorb yourself in your reading program every day and absorb the information into your spiritual creeper, your devotional creeper, and let it grow and fructify into love of Godhead. All glories to the Sankirtan movement. We'll be back tomorrow. Oh yeah. Back tomorrow at the sadhana program of Srimad Bhagavatam from the Delhi Bhagavatams. And that'll start at 10 a.m. here in Eastern Canada and around the world, depending on what you do. And in this way, we march forward week after week. We have thousands of hours of programming. I got a message from one of our godbrothers, Krishna Gita. He goes, oh, I'm at a lawyer's meeting. Sorry, I can't attend today. I said, well, that's all right. Just go to the YouTube channel. I don't know how many watched today on YouTube. I think we had about 50 people today on the broadcast. So it's gradually growing and spreading by the mercy of the Lord and all of his sincere devotees. The members of the Prabhupada Disciples Association who are marching back home, back to Godhead through this process. Haribol, we're going to have the chanting of Hare Krishna with Srila Prabhupada leading. Please stay on the line and chant along with Srila Prabhupada. And then we'll have our closing prayers and thank yous to everybody. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
offer our respectful obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnava devotees. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances. We all offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and who are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Thanks to everybody for participating in this lively program. Vishakama Prabhu in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Neil Sharma Prabhu in Florida. Ram Raghav and his good wife, Bhaktin Eunice, in Georgia, Florida, Brighton, Florida. Vijay Pandit in Italy. And Ram Raghava Prabhu cooking? Yes, he's cooking for a program. Very nice. Ruchi Samataji dans la belle province de Canada. Michael Dillon in Yuba City, California. And Yasmin, Bhaktin Yasmin, from her traveling little temple with her family. Very nice to have you over. Dharma Bhavana in Dallas, Texas. Triloka Vijaya in Alachua, Florida. And Ronald Singh in Oroville, California, near the beautiful Fetter River that's going to be soon transformed into the Ganges or Yamuna. And everybody participating in this program, Rupa Manjari, Devi Dasi, wherever you are, thank you very much for attending, and everybody participating. We invite you to come tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, corresponding to 10 a.m. Eastern Board Time in Canada and Florida, everywhere else. And we invite you to participate with us, a beautiful kirtan with some Jamaican devotees. And we very much appreciate your presence. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,